start the streaming. So okay, so like there's a couple of things that are going on here. First of all, we are streaming now on WeChat on the one hand, and we're also streaming on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube on the other hand. And I'd already registered the stream to start on WeChat at 3 o'clock, so I did that. I was it was really important for me that I would be on time with this because people had already sort of registered to see. There were 2 people that would be watching it there. But we were having issues connecting Anna, who is here with me as well. But now I think it looks a lot better now. So she is her internet connection is not the best right now. So if there's any problem, we'll just excuse her and continue with the WeChat. No, sorry, with this broadcast. Otherwise, I have to admit though that I started on WeChat at 3 o'clock, and then I suddenly realized I was not broadcasting in Europe. So anyway, so now we're broadcasting in both places. Anna is here. Everything looks good. How are you, Anna?
I'm great. I'm having my coffee. I'm in a beautiful place. I won't tell you where because otherwise you're gonna be jealous. But yes, I think this and this is the beginning of the year of the rabbit Halldor. That is my year. So red bracelet and going back to China for sure. This year is my year.
Yeah,
How are you?
I'm good. Yeah. Things are been changing for the better since our last video cast in December, when we basically were still in quite strict lockdowns here in Beijing. But right now, things have been opening up. I managed to go home for Christmas. And when I came back to China, there was no quarantine anymore. So that was really comfortable, being able to fly directly to Beijing and just go home. And overall, it's been really nice here since then. Really blue sky, beautiful. It's actually 12 degrees out right now, which is really warm because it was like minus 15 last week. So overall, really, really lovely time. And also for those of you that just joined us online, you might have missed it, but I did, like Anna, start the video podcast on WeChat by, of course, wishing everybody Happy New Year. And this is sort of a little New Year's card that we were sending everybody last week from EURAXESS, like an animated New Year's card. But might notice that I did not add any rabbits into it to signify that this is the year of the rabbit, and that's just because I was thinking maybe we can use it again next year, right? Instead of create a new animated one for every year. Anyway, so happy new Lunar New Year, like happy new Chinese New Year, and happy year of the rabbit. Like I said earlier, our plan today is to basically go over our newsletter that we are just publishing right now. It came out on WeChat yesterday, and we're going to be sending a flash note also with all the articles. But we thought we could go over it because there's some really good content there that is really interesting to researchers that are on the move and going back and forward between Europe and China at the moment. And you might have a lot of those because finally mobility is getting back to normal, right, Anna?
It is, however, finally, it is really going back to normal, or maybe a new normal. I think, we'll keep some of the good experiences and, lessons that we learned during COVID. But for sure, everybody's, is happy to go back to be able to move domestically in China, researchers to go back to China, me included. So yes. And yes, we also in our newsletter have included one of the Horizon Europe member states where you might want to move in 2023. Is a very nice destination. I'm gonna tell you about it in just a moment.
Yeah. So okay. So the way that I'm suggesting we would do this is that we can just go through the newsletter page by page. So everybody is getting the newsletter this time through this online FlipSnack sort of application app, and where you can kind of really realistically go through it page by page like this. And it also looks really good on mobile, so I really like that. And taking advantage of that, I thought we would just go through it, the pages one by one. And the first article is actually on our EURAXESS member in focus this time, which is Cyprus, right, Anna?
Yes, it is Cyprus. I don't know if you have been there, but it's really a beautiful place. So that's why I wanted to mention it earlier. It's like a pretty small island in the Mediterranean that is part of the EU, even if the northern part is like more like Turkish like. And yes, so we have an article that was provided, I think, by the National Contact Point of Cyprus. Then I happened to meet in November when I was in Brussels, yeah, November last year. And she's a very young, dynamic lady that is gonna be, I think, super happy to help you if your research career will bring you to Cyprus. And there's a good reason for looking into Cyprus. If you go through our articles, you'll see that it's a small state, but still like has quite a few interesting opportunities for you. There's different public and private universities, and they have a national framework program that is structured around three pillars: smart growth, sustainable RTID system, and transformation of the system. And it's also Cyprus is also in the top of the innovation scoreboard of Europe. Let me see here. It scores 106.9% of performance in terms of innovation from on the average of the EU. So there's also different kind of services.
Interesting article was we decided to basically look a little bit back on our Forum of European Researchers in China, which took place in November. If you're a European researcher in China, you are probably aware of this. Unfortunately, November, there was not really easy to travel inside of China, and no time in 2022 that was really easy, but we still decided to do it. I went to Shanghai, even though it was super difficult, just to make sure that we could get to as many possible researchers as possible. And these, because we have basically the biggest number of European researchers in one city anywhere in China is in Shanghai, so we did it there. So that was pretty cool. And this is also the first time that we did it in Shanghai. It's always been in Beijing before, so that was really great. But we are also going to be doing it again this year, and this time, hopefully, we'll be able to get people from all over China again. We will be talking to the European delegation here in Beijing. What's the best way to do this? And they support this initiative fully. So that's really exciting. I hope if there's any European researcher watching this, that you're going to be joining us for 2023. But if you would like to see the pictures from our forum in November, you can just take a look at our newsletter. And it was also a really interesting session that we did during the forum that I want to highlight in this newsletter, which was our last session on basically mobility of European researchers. This is like a new thing that we want to be adding these days. So basically trying to get real experts on different aspects of what it means to be a mobile researcher to come with real information that can help researchers here in China. So we had a session in our forum that was on sort of helping people that were leaving China with some of the most basic stuff, including things like what about your social security and your pension, your taxes, how to like legally change your contract and all of these things. And these are things that I know for sure that a lot of European researchers have been struggling with sort of finding out details about here in China. So we got an expert from a law office and another one from like an HR agency that came and gave us a little bit definite answers about how these things work, in particular in Beijing and Shanghai, but also gave us an idea how it works everywhere. Also, there was also an interesting last bit about how we can move our money back and so on. We thought this would be a really interesting article to do in 2022 because there were so many European researchers that were moving back to Europe, and this was really relevant for them. And we have collected here a little bit of overview over the main notes that we took during those sessions, although it's just basically our glossary. It's just like our notes that we took, and they should not be taken as a real advice on anything that has to do with financial or tax or anything like that, but more of a way for you to guide you forward if you're looking at these things. And this is not the last time they're going to be doing that. We want to continue doing these mobility sessions and also creating these sort of overviews afterward in written reports. And this year, probably the one is going to be how to come to China, because now when things and the borders have opened, we're already discussing with some of the thematic networks. For example, the European network of European researchers in biology and medicine in China, if we can maybe take together, collect some information about what it means to come back here, how to get the visas and so on. And now in this new normal after COVID has kind of finished. And actually, in that theme, we had this amazing article written by our central coordination team in Brussels about sort of how to get mentally prepared when you're moving abroad. So when you're going from China in 2022, or if you're coming back to China or coming for the first time to China in 2022, now in 2023, how do you do this, and how do you sort of prepare yourself and so on? It is a part of our focus on health and family well-being. So it's really actually quite good article on this topic that has a lot of expert recommendations on sort of how to do this in a good way. I think most of the people that are watching our videocast are mobile researchers, and as you know, this can be quite scary and impactful and disoriented experience to go to a totally alien place, like place you've never been before and so on. And if you have a family with you and so on, it can be even more sort of difficult. But that's why we're here, to help each other, and that's why we put this article in our newsletter. Besides that, we always include a little bit of an in case you missed, which is a thing that we put at the back of our newsletter every time, in case you didn't see all the activities we're doing that quarter. The two things that I think are most important that you know about are the 4 Horizon Europe calls that are targeting Chinese participation. So if you're a researcher in China and you want to participate in Horizon Europe, there are news now, maybe I can zoom in on it a little bit, about 4 calls in Horizon Europe that is targeting Chinese participation. So that is kind of cool. And the ones that we're talking about are in, you cannot see it, I do like this then. It's in 2 clusters of Horizon Europe. One is in food, bioeconomy, natural resources, agriculture and environment, and then another one in climate, energy and mobility. And the 2 topics are basically on integrated forest management for multiple ecosystem services to enhance biodiversity. That's number 1. Another one to optimize manure use. Another one which is EU-China International Cooperation on Blue Carbon. There is another one on EU-China International Cooperation on Data and Model Development for Pathways for Carbon Neutrality. So these are the 4 ones that we are focusing on. And if you are interested in this, we actually did 2 weeks ago a really great webinar where we went into details about all of these calls and the policy background behind them, etc. Where we got the science attaché of the EU delegation here in Beijing, Woiko Pratina, as well as the head of the International Cooperation Department of DGRDT, the European Commission, Nienka Puisman, to sort of support us and tell us more. And the links to this and so on, to the recording of that, should all be available. You can just ask us in one of our VChat groups if you want to get access to that. But this is not the only sort of thing that we've been doing, like articles I've been writing recently. Actually, we thought it would be cool for you guys to know about all the different articles that we wrote in our last newsletter also, because there were so good things that were going on there as well. And I don't think we ever highlighted it in one of our video casts. So if you want, you can also find our newest, the last newsletter, and you can find the focus on EURAXESS in Denmark, where they go through the research environment in the Kingdom of Denmark, which is a really innovative, amazing country, one of the Nordic countries, as well as our own summary of sort of the Danish instruments for innovation that exist here in China, including the Sino-Danish campus, as well as the the Danish Innovation Center in Shanghai, which are both excellent instruments for people that are interested in working together with Denmark in the space between Denmark and China. And we also had a cool article about research integrity and more. So these things are all going to be part of our flash note. We're going to be sending an email flash note this week where we will send all the articles and the content from this newsletter, as well as from the last newsletter, where you can take a look at these things. And I think these are actually really, really well written articles, good content, and takes a lot of time. We're trying to do something more than just like these snippets on social media. We're trying to do real content that we know that researchers do appreciate. So that is the newsletter. I'm wondering what happened to Anna. I think we lost her. Let me see. Maybe I can. Maybe I can give it a one more chance, because we had an issue with the internet connection. And when she's online, I'll put her back into the stream. But the last thing that we want to mention in this video cast was basically the fact that now that we are in the year of the rabbit, we really wanted to sort of kick off the year with a boom and do this next year with a lot of great new initiatives, as well as actually being finally able to do things on the ground here in China again. So we are hoping, first of all, that we can start again our researchers' nights, which is something that we have done in Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou every year, maybe once or twice even every year, where we can put all the networks, all the researchers in these cities to meet each other over drink and have fun and do some networking. And we normally talk about some topics, etc. No, finally, we can kickstart this again. There's not been any researchers night in Beijing since before COVID, but we do have had one in Guangzhou in 2021, so a little bit more than a year ago, and also we had like a couple. Oh yeah, we have two of them in Shanghai. One in the end of 2020 and one in 2021 September. So we have had these researchers nights there, but finally we'd had none in 2022, and finally we can do one now. So if you're in Beijing, Shanghai, or Guangzhou, and if you are watching this, or anywhere close to the cities, like follow us. We're going to be in the next few weeks and announcing the dates for these researchers' nights, and this is going to be an amazingly good opportunity to finally come together again as a community and meet each other and whatever. And that's one of the big benefits that we hope that EURAXESS can bring to the table for everybody here. Then on top of that, we are also doing our science communication training again this year. So that is also something that is coming up. And right on time to discuss that, I see that we have Anna with us again. I don't know if I can hear you. Anna, do you have a good connection? Can I?
I hear you well, Halldor. I hope it's also the same for you.
Hear you really well. So I was just telling them about the fact that now when we are back on the ground, we can start doing our researchers' nights again. But also just around the corner now in the next few weeks, we will be doing our science communication training once more, followed by a science lab early this year, because we couldn't do one in 2022. We just want to do it right after this, after the science communication trainings. I don't know, what are these science communication trainings about, Anna? Would you like to share?
Well, Halldor, yes, of course. I mean, this is our third edition of the science communication training. And, every time is the same, but every time is different. Because what we want to do is to offer training about different elements, different aspects of science communication. We have done a lot of, pitching, but also how to communicate to an audience online, or how to move on the stage, how to use also like your, physical language, how to address the large audiences, how to communicate through emails. So we really like try to tackle a lot of different elements of science communication. And this year we're going to try to come up with new topics that are of interest of researchers, researchers in China, European, Chinese, any nationality actually, because we know that a lot of researchers out there are very focused on their research. They can be very innovative. They come up with great breakthrough ideas, but then a part of their job is also to be able to talk to the wider audience to make sure that their science becomes available to the larger audience that is understood by also all of us who are not experts. So this is what we try to provide with these trainings. I think they're gonna be online again. We're gonna find 5 different topics, and we also have probably a little element of innovation apart from the topics. We will try to provide personalized support to those that are very committed and who hopefully are going to also, compete with each other in a very tough and wonderful competition during the Science Slam. I think it's going to be exciting. What do you think, Halldor?
I think so. I think it's a great opportunity for researchers based here in China to develop their research. One of the most important talents that you can have as a researcher, which is communicating your research, right? Because without that, it's going to be really, really difficult to convince anybody that this is science that needs to be done. It's also definitely in line with what the European Union likes to emphasize when it comes to sort of research in science, which is basically participating in public discourse and being communicating science to the public and so on. So like open communication is a really important part of research as far as the EU is concerned. So this is all really great. It's good for everybody involved. So that's really great. And on top of that, we also already started planning our activities for European researchers in China again. We will to do things like the thematic network meetings, which is something that we didn't manage to do last year, but we hope we can do this year. Maybe we will include a little bit of an element that's called Meet the Labs, where people can see what the European researchers are doing and they will sort of communicate it to the wider audience, what they're doing. Maybe we should invite the people that are going to go to these meetings to the science communication training to make them even better at this, because these are really interesting. You can hear these people normally in 10 to 15 minutes explain what research and what their lab are doing, and you can see all the amazing things that these scientists are doing here in China. And so even if you're not a European researcher, still keep your eye open for that, because this is going to be open for everybody to enjoy. And yeah, I think that's it for today, unless you want to add something, Anna.
No, Halder, I'm not going to add anything else apart from again, happy year of the rabbit to everybody. And I hope everybody has the same energy as we do for this new lunar year.
Exactly. All right. Happy New Year, everybody, and I'll see you guys soon.